So we are here in New Orleans in the Big Easy. We're hanging out
Right off Bourbon, Decatur Street.
Decatur.
Decatur Street.
Decatur Street, right in the middle of French Quarter.
Yeah.
In the middle of it, we're at the cigar factory. They're hand rolling cigars right over there. These were rolled right here.
Right here.
How cool is that? Hanging out with Mr. Beach Money, Jordan Adler. I'm
Matt Shorty.
Wells. Hey,
Matt Shorty. Don't forget Matt.
Don't forget me. I'm here too. Hanging out here. We're just gonna chop it up a little bit, as our friend Randy Gage likes to say, chopping it up. I just watched an interview with you and Randy. That was
fun.
really cool. When did y'all do that? Like 2 weeks ago? A week ago?
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, 10 days ago, yeah.
I was just watching that on the way here to New Orleans from Gulfport. And that was really cool for me. Because as you know, Randy Gage was the #1 income earner in my first direct sales company. Gage is... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, what was cool about that is I used to sit in the audience and watch Randy on stage before he'd ever met. And I had read his book. He's written many books. I read his book, How to Build a Multi-Level Money Machine or something like that. And that book kind of got me excited. One of the books that got me really excited about the network marketing profession. And then many years later, I found myself, after having success in the business, I found myself on stage with Randy speaking at the same events. We spoke at least 10 events together over the years. And so he's become a friend and a mentor along the way. But it's really cool when, you know, when at some point in your career, you get to be on the stages with your mentors, the people that, you know, you really looked up to over, you know, as you were growing in the business.
I can testify to that right here in this moment right now. I've been learning from you. I read your book, Beach Money, when it came out in 2008, and I became a part of the same company you're a part of in 2011. And I've been learning from this man sitting next to me every week since 2011. For years, I was just a name in the crowd, you know, just watching you on stage and on the calls. And for probably 5-6 years now, we've become friends. So I can testify. It is really cool when your mentors become your friend.
And really I'm learning from you too, watching your work ethic and some of the things you're doing. You're teaching me things that I didn't know because you're learning things as you go, and there's certain things that I'm a little uncomfortable with, and you're teaching me those things. So that's cool.
But the experience that I've gotten from you, and then parlaying that into more of an internet focus, has been really fun. Some of the things we're doing here with the Beach Money Nation and the branding that we're taking onto the internet in the ways that we're doing it now. I'm honored and proud to be a part of what we're doing with this.
You know what's cool is that what's happening right now is that, you know, obviously online marketing and internet marketing is becoming just a massive, online coaching, business coaching is becoming a massive, explosive industry. And at the same time, the more pervasive online marketing becomes, the more important offline marketing becomes.
Yeah, right.
The more important the face-to-face, person-to-person relationship building becomes in this business. In fact, I even see as it becomes, you know, as marketing messages are just exploding right now, we're getting bombarded with tens of thousands of marketing messages every day. And it's a noisy marketplace and there's a lot of competition. And I believe that as that happens, there will be companies that will emerge and companies that already exist that will reemerge from that noise as companies that are much more focused on the offline approach.
Yeah.
It cuts through the noise. It cuts through the chaos of everything that's going on out there in the world right now. So it's an important thing.
One of the things, honestly, so that dovetails or rides along perfectly, but one of the shorts that you had published recently talking about how the magic happens in the one-on-one meeting.
Yeah.
And I had made a comment on that on your Instagram post about how that right there is exactly why I am not concerned about AI replacing me.
Right.
Business is made between humans. Robots and artificial intelligence are going to be great for all of the different sales copy and all the different things. That's great. That's super. It has its place. I get it. But it will never replace genuine human connection.
Right.
It will never replace me. It will never replace you.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day in networking, in business in general, no matter what profession or what you're doing, it's about relationships. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And the robots will never replace us.
Yeah, that's it's as cliche as it sounds. It's still an important concept that people will tend to want to do business with people that they've got some level of relationship with that they know they can trust. You know, we did this event that you put on in Gulfport yesterday, and I asked, you know, we were speaking in front of the crowd, and there were probably 30, 40 people there, and one woman in the group asked, you know, as far as getting someone's address to be able to mail them a card, she asked, how do you get someone's address? The truth is, it's easy to get someone's address if you have a little bit of a relationship with them. If you don't have a relationship with them, it's weird.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Right.
and so, and that's the same in business. It's weird to do business with people that you don't have a relationship with. You know, there are certain models out there that get away with it because they build a reputation, but that reputation is part of the relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
And the trust comes from being consistent, being true to your word. You know, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. You're on time.
Yep.
Not flaky.
Not flaky.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. To jump off the conversation about beach money and the profession as a whole, you wrote this book, Beach Money. It was your first title, amongst others that have followed, but Beach Money was your first book. Amazon bestseller, sold millions of copies plus, all the way around the world, multiple languages. What is beach money? What does that mean?
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting because when you say the words beach money, it conjures up in everyone's mind. It conjures something up, and what it conjures up is really what beach money is. Like when I say to you, what is beach money? If you've never heard it before, you're going to say, well, make money while I'm at the beach. Yeah. So that means getting paid over and over again for working one time and being anywhere you want to be in the world with whoever you want to be with and having money flow into your bank account each and every day, every week, every month, money coming into your bank account from work you did before. So there's certain services and products that throw off a monthly revenue stream because, wow, it got loud in here. There are certain vehicles that tend to throw off a revenue stream every month because people pay for them every month. And if you're the one that brought that business to the company that you represent, you can get a residual income every time that product is purchased. So if you think about it today, you know, subscription services,
Yep.
There's a revenue stream that comes in every month. Utilities, there's a revenue stream that comes in every month.
Yep.
There's certain products that people buy every month,
Yep.
or they buy it on a regular basis. It may not even be every month, but what if you could receive a check or some income in your bank account every time somebody purchases, and that produces a residual income. It produces a level of freedom that you can't get in a linear world. Linear meaning you're trading time for money. You do the work, you get paid the money. That's how most of us are brought up. That's how I was brought up.
You go to a job. Most of us are familiar. Go to school, get a good job.
Yeah, and then you go to your job and you get a check. And then if you don't go to work, they don't pay you. But what if you could get paid over and over again for working one time?
Yep.
Yeah, and so beach money is a representation. It's a metaphor for living anywhere in the world, being anywhere you want to be, traveling the world. If you're a homebody, being at home and being with your kids and your grandkids, whatever it is, but knowing that you have the security of a revenue stream coming in whether you work or not.
It's what I've been referring to too, in addition to obviously beach money. I've been thinking of it in my mind as a laptop lifestyle, which I guess I'm also showing my age now because more than a laptop lifestyle, it's a cell phone lifestyle because you can build these businesses with nothing more than your smartphone, and many do.
Yeah.
I still like the laptop. I want a bigger screen personally, but that beach money lifestyle, that laptop lifestyle that allows you to work from wherever you are, and more than work from wherever you are, to get paid wherever you are for having worked in the past, like you were saying.
And with today's technology, you can access your money from anywhere in the world.
Right.
You know, it's not like you have to get a check and go to the mailbox and go take it down to the bank and cash it.
Right.
Your money is deposited and you can get it from wherever you are.
Yep.
And if you think about it, unless you're like, I'm a musician, but I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough musician to be able to get paid royalties off my music.
Okay.
I don't write enough music, and I'm not that great at it.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to be.
Right.
I'm not an actor, so I don't have movies out there. And even if you are an actor and you have movies, unless you're a blockbuster, you're not going to get paid much money. But imagine, if you had some type of a series where you're getting paid every time you do your thing, but every time it plays, like your music. And I'm not a fighter. I'm not an entertainer. I'm not a musician. I'm not an actor. So I don't get that kind of royalty. But this is something that you can find an area of business that you love, and you can then share what you love with other people, and then get a royalty check like an actor or musician would get.
Yeah. On that note, too, this is an interesting side point on that, but I think it's worthy of note. In this beach money model, compared to something like being a musician, a rock star, artist, something like that, where there are so many other variables, it's not necessarily just about having talent, skills. There's so many other gatekeepers. Now, of course, in today's day and age, many of the gatekeepers are becoming less relevant because if you are good at what you're doing, you're singing, you're whatever it is, you can put yourself out there and the world will find you if you stay consistent, persistent with it. At the same time, that being said, for the average person, I feel like this model offers that leveraged income opportunity, that beach money lifestyle, more assured for the average person. There are still things that we have to crack the code. And by crack the code, I want us to elaborate on this, but it's not about, there's not one code to be cracked. Because if it were that easy, then everybody would figure it out and they would have success in whatever, in this model, let's say, or whatever they're doing. So it's really about cracking your code, your personal code, because we all have unique challenges, roadblocks, baggage, worthiness issues, whatever it might be. We have things inside of us that are unique, just like a paradigm is our unique paradigm. We all have our unique setbacks, challenges, whatevers that we've got to figure out that are unique to us. But it's more about our personal journey than it is about figuring out the tactics and the mechanisms of this profession.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I'll observe people that will go to, you know, online and offline events, and they'll take notes and they'll go consistently, like to, you know, they're listening to their audiobooks, personal development audiobooks, and they're going to their company events and they're learning everything and taking all these notes and gathering all this information, but they're not doing anything. Right. And some of these people, I'll watch them and they'll be doing it for years, and they're not, their business is not growing.
And you know they have chops. You know they can do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They can. Anybody can do it as long as you're committed to the process. Anybody can do it. But that being in that constant state of learning is important. And at the same time, if you don't use what you acquire at those learning opportunities, if you don't apply what you're learning, your business is stagnant. It does not grow. And I believe that most people can learn everything they need to learn in maybe a week. Everything. Like, and I tell people, you have everything you need right now.
You'll know when you're ready to bust this open when you have no more questions. You'll have no more questions. You have everything you need. If you've been around for more than a few weeks, you're trained. This is not a how-to insight. In other words, it's not about knowing everything there is to know. You'll never know everything. In fact, things are constantly changing and evolving and growing and getting better, and there's changes that are going on. You're never going to know everything. It's about being tired of settling and being ready to make a quantum leap in your life. It's a decision that happens in the now. So no more waiting to be prepared. It really only takes, like, you can learn everything that you need to know in a week or two. You're already prepared. You have everything you need. Everything you need. You don't even need to know the compensation plan. It's so funny. I signed to this guy that's known about us for 18 years. That's a good friend of mine, very successful businessman. The other night I signed him up. I sent him a new sales page. He looked at it and he called me. He goes, I got to get this thing going. It's unbelievable. And he started asking me questions about the compensation plan. My business keeps growing every month, and I don't really, I mean, I can send him the video and I can send him the information, but I don't know the compensation plan the way Callie does. And he was asking me detailed questions and I had no idea. I was laughing about it, but I don't even need it. I don't need that to build my business. I don't need to know how to take my car apart and put it back together in order to drive it. Really, 80% of it is in your head, and it's all about declaring. In other words, there's nothing else that I need to learn. I just have a job to do. I just need to start sharing it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But there's nothing to learn.
You have all the knowledge that you need. And so a lot of times it's not so much what you know as much as it is how you think about what you know. So you can know it but not be applying it. Knowing doesn't make a difference.
Right.
But what you focus on makes a difference, and what you do with what you learn. So it's simple. It's simple. And I know this, like, personally, I was involved in network marketing for 11 years before I made my first penny.
Yep.
And so I was that guy. I mean, I would read all the books. I would go to all the events. You know, I was asking all the questions, but my business wasn't growing because every time I would have a challenge, I would quit. And I did that over and over and over and over again, and that pattern doesn't work. So I needed to think differently about it. And I made a conscious decision that I still apply today, that I'm never going to quit on a bad day. I'm going to stay focused on solving the problems and growing versus quitting.
Yeah.
And so whenever I feel that desire, that drive to quit, which I get it too at times.
You mean you're human?
I step back, yeah. I step back and I say, that's not one of my options. Right.
Because you pre-decided that.
Right.
You pre-decided I'm not going to quit on a bad day. You acknowledge that we all have bad days and whatever we're doing,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to quit on a bad day.
You will always, multiple times, you will always have a setback, multiple times, that you'll be perfectly justified in quitting.
Right. Oh, that's a good point right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world around you would not say, oh, he was wrong for quitting.
Right.
Right. But then how does that serve you? Just because others agree and everybody says, yeah, understandable.
You should quit.
I want to note before this thing drops, so this is a mighty fine cigar rolled right here at Cigar
These
Factory.
are great cigars here.
Really
Cigar
good
Factory.
cigars. We really wanted to support the local business where we're recording this. We met James, the guy who runs the place. Super cool people here. But there's another cigar out there that has a really fine ash, ash as well, called a Beach Money cigar.
Beach Money, Playa de Nero.
Playa de Nero. Now, first of all, tell me what does Playa de Nero mean, and tell me about the Beach Money cigar.
Playa, beach, dinero, money. And I think if it's Spanish, the correct way to say it is dinero de playa.
Right.
But it sounds better to say Playa de Nero.
Amen.
Beach
Right.
Money cigars. And it's a lifestyle. It's more than just a cigar. It's a lifestyle. And, right?
And amen.
And the cigars are magnificent.
They really are.
And you can get them at cigars.com. So this is a little
With an S.
plug. This
Hey,
is a
yeah, that's
little
what's
commercial plug.
That's right.
Cigars. This is the break. What do they call it? The
Yeah.
sponsorship
Yeah.
break. What do you call
After
it?
these messages, we'll be
Yeah.
right back. And then,
Cigars with an S. SIGARS.com. Cigars.com.
and we'll have a link to that below as well. Really, really great cigars. And when I first saw this, before I'd seen you in person, after seeing it on the internet, I was waiting until I saw you in person to ask you about it. I assumed it was just a white label situation, like
No.
you had taken a cigar, but that's your unique
Yeah.
cigar. Tell us a little bit about that experience, because the cigars company, they gave you all these different ones, different blends, and you were.
I told them what I liked and what I wanted in a cigar, and they have some guys down in Miami that roll cigars, and they they do a lot of different cigars for MMA fighters and golfers and things like that. And these young guys invited me onto a podcast. I didn't know them. They'd read my book Beach Money, and they invited me on. And at one point they said, you should have your own cigar brand. And I'd been thinking about it, and so they started sending me some samples that their guys rolled, and then they started sending me. They took my logo and created a nice band and started sending me that stuff. And next thing you know, we have this beautiful cigar, and it's a well-loved cigar. The only, I would say, maybe order one or order three, and try it out if you smoke, and if you like it, then you can buy a box.
I think the experience of that cigar, and a connoisseur of cigars, I don't claim to be. Well, I've been enjoying cigars for a while, and I'll tell you, I've had probably 5 or 6 Beach Money cigars now, and sincerely, that is a really smooth, really good cigar.
Enjoyable cigar.
And you can tell, the ash. You can tell the quality of a cigar really well by the ash.
Now this one will drop its ash about right here.
Okay.
About right there, it'll drop its ash. The Beach Money cigars hold their ash almost 50% through the stick.
And speaking of commercials, before we leave the topic of cigars, Beach Money cigars, speaking of commercials, your friend, Melody Sweets, she has a show, Sweet Spots TV. I'm going to drop a link to that below.
SweetSpotsTV.com. It's hilarious.
Amazing show. Like, sincerely.
Watch all of it, but watch episode 2 and episode 3.
They have the commercials in there. Their commercial for your cigar was hilarious.
Hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
The entertainment value of just the commercial is worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to put a link below to the episode, and they put on their YouTube channel just the commercial itself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a link to the commercial itself. Worth a watch. Sincerely worth a watch. We just had to acknowledge those because we are smoking cigars.
Yeah.
And we're not smoking a Beach Money today because we're at the Cigar Factory, rolled right across the hallway right here. So let's go back to the profession, the network marketing profession, a game which we are both participants in. Oh, let me ask you this real quick first. So we're both in the same company. You've been with the company now. How long have you been with our company?
18 years.
So 18 years, one company, 18 years. Let's touch on this real quick. Do you think that's a key to success, sticking and staying? And how does that compare with the results you have now with your 12th company, and now tell the story of what happened there and why you're not with the 12th anymore, versus the first 10 years in the business?
Yeah, first 10 years in the business, we talked a little bit about that. I kept quitting every time I had a challenge. My 12th company, I'd been on that personal development journey, and I'd made some decisions, and that's really what it came down to. I made some conscious decisions that represented a change in focus. And that change in focus was the reason that I started to have some success.
What was the focus change to?
I
Just not
stopped
quitting on
quitting.
a day?
That
Okay.
was part of it.
Yep.
And I also really looked at, when things aren't working, to be able to step back and take a look at it differently, look at the scenario differently, see it from a bird's eye view, and ask myself, what can I do to transform this versus trying to fix it. So in my 12th company, I finally cracked the code for me, and that code was consistently exposing my business to new people all the time, every week, every day, as much as possible, focusing on building the relationship and then maintaining a long-term relationship with those people, because most people don't say yes the first time, having a solid overview of what you're up to, your products and your compensation plan, and then having a system for following up on an ongoing, consistent basis, and then staying in motion, always staying in motion, moving forward by introducing it to new people. And then you do that for a long period of time. And what happens is upwards of 50% of everyone you share your business with will join you eventually, as long as you stay in contact with them and make sure they are up to speed on what you're up to, And so
Maintain that relationship.
yeah, I mean, most of the people that join me aren't people that look at what I'm doing the first time and say, let's do this. Sometimes it's 2 weeks later, sometimes it's a month later, sometimes it's 6 months later, or even a year later or more. Some of my biggest leaders came in 2 years after I got started, So that was a shift. And the result of that was I started bringing in some people. I had a lot of people come in, a lot of people quit. Most people don't have the patience for this, but by my 9th month, I was making less than $200 a month. By my 9th month.
In your 12th company.
In my 12th company. But then by the end of my 33rd month, I was making about $3,000 a month, a little less than $3,000 a month in residual income. For most people, $3,000 a month represents a major change in their lifestyle. Right. To have money coming in every month, whether they work it or not.
You don't have to chase it.
That represents a change in their, a positive change in their lifestyle. But then by my 40th month, I was making over $34,000 a month by the end of my 40th month. And I went on to make $8 million with that company. And then there was a massive shift that affected all of us everywhere in the world. And that was when digital was invented. And our company ran on analog platforms, which were manually switched technology platforms. It was almost like when the transistor was created or the microchip was created, everything changed. Our company was built on analog technology, and so when digital got launched, it literally put us out of business. So I had a big residual check that went away overnight. And then 18 years ago, I heard about this, what I'm doing now, and I saw an exciting opportunity, and I jumped in, and this is what I've been doing ever since. And we've been evolving with the technology, and we've had to reinvent ourselves over and over again as well, because in 18 years, a lot's changed. I mean, Facebook wasn't really, it was just getting started. MySpace was the big thing.
Right, yeah.
There were no smartphones, no apps.
Right. Yeah.
There was no Zoom. All meetings were being done in person on physical locations.
And wasn't like half of the country on the internet and half weren't, and the half that was on, weren't they on dial-up?
Half the population was still not on, half the population was on dial-up internet.
Yeah.
And most people in the world were on it.
And your store, like today, but your store, when you started with this company, was on the internet.
Everything.
And only half the country could even go to your store.
Right.
When they went, it was on dial-up.
I have a story that's it's a little bit different than yours, but similar in that a story that you might not even know. In my last company, which I was there for 13 years and did very well with the company, and I was, long before I joined the company, I was at a bowling. My cousin Eddie from San Diego. My cousin Eddie from San Diego had approached me about the company that I ultimately ended up getting involved in, and I was not interested at all.
Okay.
All right, it was a telecom network marketing company.
Were you doing one at the time?
No. I wasn't. At that point, I wasn't doing anything, but I wasn't interested at all when he came to me.
Mm-hmm.
A year later, I was at a bowling alley, and there was a guy handing out brochures at the bowling alley for the same company that my cousin was involved in. And I looked at the brochure and I read it, and it's like, this sounds intriguing. No inventory, no product to purchase, no capital investment. I was looking at this list and it got my attention. And so I contacted my cousin Eddie, and I left a message for him on his answering machine, because that's where we had answering machines back then.
Right.
And he never contacted me back.
Oh no.
And I left another message. He never contacted me, and then his number was disconnected. And for a few months, I never heard back from my cousin, and I really wanted to do it. So I called the company, and they put me in touch with a guy that was older, probably close to 70. It was Cliff and Claudine Messenger in Mesa, Arizona. I didn't know him. I called them. Claudine answered the phone, and she was older. And I said, Claudine, how's the business going with you and Cliff? And this was her exact words. Not very good. So this woman tells me the business is not going very good. So I said, well, can I talk to your husband, Cliff? And so Cliff gets on the phone. We arrange to meet. I meet Cliff, and he's wearing a white polyester leisure suit with white polyester shoes, and he has white hair.
Okay.
And I said, Cliff, I want to sign up with you. So I signed up with Cliff. A year later, my cousin Eddie calls me back. A year. And I said, Eddie, are you still involved with that phone company thing? Because I tried to get a hold of you. I wanted to sign up. I signed up under Cliff and Claudine Messenger. He knew who they were. And I didn't sign up with him. If he had just been there to answer my call,
wow,
when I was ready to sign up, he would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Because you were with that company 14 years.
Yeah,
you made
he might have made more. He might have made a couple million. I don't know.
Yeah.
If he had just been there when I was ready to sign up. That's why it's so important that when you talk to somebody about your business, that you stick with them over the long haul, because you never know when they're going to say yes.
Yep.
You never know when they're going to step forward and say, the timing's better for me now. I'm interested. Yeah.
Choose wisely and stay. Choose wisely. And that's a real key too. Choose wisely. My journey away from my first direct sales company, what I thought was going to be my sunset company, it was a 9-month evaluation. I was with that company for 4.5 years, and I was that cliche network marketer, beating up on my friends, telling them they're stupid if they don't join me. I didn't say that, but I may as well have.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I was that guy, you know.
I can see it.
Right?
I gotta do that.
You know, you're on candid camera.
We just got a compliment on our haircut.
Yeah.
How many bald men get a compliment on their haircut? Huh?
Yeah.
For 9 months, I was looking at this company that I ended up coming to. I watched, at the time, there was a page on the website of interviews that Cody had done with a bunch of different people. I listened to every interview there. I saw a bunch of stuff that you had done. I'd actually got the Cool Buzz. Your team website was password protected at the time.
Right.
Somehow or another, I got the password. So I'm digging through the archives of your training calls 9 months before I signed up. I signed up September 26, 2011. 9 months prior, I'm listening to y'all's calls, listening to what y'all are doing. And the point that I'm making with all of that is it was a 9-month evaluation, consideration, considering of moving over this. So when I moved over to my company, it wasn't a small move. I didn't take it lightly. I didn't just be like, oh, this sounds cool, and jump over there. You know what I mean?
All of a sudden, when we join a company, we think that the people we're sharing this with are going to make a decision right then and there. All of a sudden, when we think that. Even though it took us weeks or months or years to make a decision, we think that the people we're showing it to, they should sign up right away.
I
and
did
if
not
they
see
don't,
this immediately. Right.
Yeah, right.
Especially, you know, for customers, it's a smaller decision. Especially for our products, it's a small price point.
Yeah.
They don't have to mortgage their house. It's not something they have to go home and pray about. So signing up customers is a simpler process. It can happen a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But for someone coming in, like what I was going to do, this was going to be a career aspiration. So if you're talking to somebody about a career kind of a move, that should be something that should take a little bit of time. That should be something that you should really consider and look at and take serious. It's make it a bigger decision if that is the decision you're making.
Now, I will say this. This is a very important point. In your business, the more successful someone already is, the quicker they make a decision.
True. Amen.
They don't wait. They don't take a long time.
That's true. Yeah.
Because they have the financial resources to say yes. They don't have to save up the money. They trust their instincts.
Yep.
They know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They know what they're looking for.
Yep.
Somebody who has a little bit of success under their belt, they don't have to be wildly successful, but if they have a little bit of success under the belt, they know what they're looking for, and when they see it, if it fits for them, they say, let's do this.
Yep.
So if you're only presenting to people that are down and out or that are broke, you're going to have a tougher, or people that are not entrepreneurial minded, you're going to have a tougher time building the business. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you need to shift your focus again to focusing on or putting yourself in situations where you're going to meet entrepreneurial minded people that have a little bit of success.
Yep.
And what happens when you hang out with those people is you become more successful.
Yeah.
Because you're learning how they think.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the people I hang out with today are completely different than the people I was hanging out with before I ever made a penny
Of course.
in network marketing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, before I had success as an entrepreneur, I was hanging out with people that were not successful entrepreneurs.
Right.
And I know, like, when I was a kid, I used to play ping pong, and I always, you know, when I was playing ping pong with somebody that was much better than me, then I would get better faster. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I would get better
They
faster.
sharpen you.
Yeah. You dropped your ash.
I on my foot. That's how I felt it. Yeah. I ashed on the floor. Sorry, Cigar Factory. Talking about when you're talking to people who are not found success in life in other areas, brings up the point too. You don't want to convince anybody of anything. One, you don't want to be going around convincing them, and that's what oftentimes people who haven't found success yet, talking to other people who haven't found success yet. One of the biggest challenges with this profession is people trying to convince people. That's gross. Nobody wants to be convinced. One, and it's a booby trap process anyways, because I understand if I have to, and I didn't understand this in the beginning when I was first in this profession, but I do understand clearly now, if I have to convince you to start a business,
Right.
I'm gonna have to convince you, continually convince you to build it. That's exhausting. No, thank you. I'm here for two people. I'm here for customers, and I'm here for colleagues. Customers and colleagues, fellows. I don't put a lot of stock into this upline, downline conversation. We're fellows. I'm here to develop leaders. I'm here to help people get started and then be a colleague to them, be a fellow.
Yeah. The starting line is when they sign up. It's not when you present it to them.
Right.
It's not when they say yes.
Right.
That's not the starting line. The starting line is the day they get started in the business.
Yep.
That's when things start. So it's an ongoing long-term relationship, you know. And that leads me to the idea of the thoughts about closing. You know, people think I have people that all the time that ask me the question, or they say, you know, I need to get better at closing. People say I need to get better at closing, and really that's not the problem.
Aren't they saying convincing in their mind? Really?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I need to get better at getting them in.
Right.
And it's really not getting people in as much as it is finding the right people to be aligned with what you're doing together. It's finding the right people. And then when somebody is interested because of what they see, the close is a natural thing. You can say something as simple as, "Are you ready to get started?" And they'll say yes. People feel pressure if you try and sign them up before they're ready to be signed up.
Right.
That's when they start feeling pressured. Like if they're thinking in their mind, this is not for me, and then you're trying to get them to say yes, they're going to feel like you're pressuring them. But if they give you signals or signs as you're talking to them that they're interested, like they ask you questions like, how much is this going to cost? That's a sign of interest, right? It means they're in their mind, they're thinking about what it's going to be like for them to do it, because they wouldn't even ask that question if they weren't.
Right. Yep.
Like, right, you go into a car dealership and you see a car, and it's like you're not going to ask how much the car is until you're interested in the car.
Yep. You're considering.
And
the car.
if they try and sell you the car before you're interested, you're going to feel pressure. So what I like to do is ask them questions, listen to what they're looking for, show them what we're doing to see if it's a fit. And if it's a fit, then I can step back and say, what are you thinking? And they'll tell me. They'll say, it's not for me, or I like this, but I don't like this. Or they'll say, I could see myself doing this. Anything that they say to you that sounds like they're interested, at that point you can ask them if they want to get started, and they won't feel any pressure at all. None.
You know, I've talked about this on another one of my episodes when Bob Berg was on Cody's podcast, the Pumping podcast.
Great interview.
Absolutely. When those two got together, I was like, ooh, I can't wait to watch this. Because
Yeah.
those are, big fan of obviously Cody Bateman, one of my primary mentors. And then Bob Berg's work has been significant. But he had talked about in one of his books, the word sales stems from Greek, whatever word, salon, which translates as to give. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's in the Go Giver, I think, or the Go Giver Sells More. But the word sales means to give. Now, in our society, we seem to have that word as a synonym for convince. Now, if I thought sales was convincing, I would be repulsed by sales.
Right.
That sounds disgusting. I don't want to convince anybody of anything.
Right. Yeah.
But if I see sales as giving, if I'm selling you on the cell phone, what I'm doing is I'm giving you the reasons of how this cell phone can benefit and bless your life, and allowing you to make an informed, educated decision on whether or not you want to bring this cell phone into your life.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the information, ways this can benefit you. That's a natural process of what you just described, showing them what we're doing, how our products and services and how our income opportunity can benefit and bless your life. And then What do you think? You ready to get started? You know, asking those questions to already having given them that information.
Yeah. And another thing I like to do is make recommendations and give suggestions. So if they bring me a reason why something's not going to work for them, I'm going to step back and I'm going to make a suggestion or a recommendation to them that will allow them to dip their toe in the water. You know, maybe it's just try the product
and ask them to elaborate on that challenge too.
Maybe it's just let's sign up for 1 month for $37, where you can send out 20 cards, try it out for a month, and if you don't like it, we'll cancel it, and if you love it, we'll figure out what's the best next step. And then you know, or they could sign up on a free account and just pay our full price, which is still a great price. And then you know, give them a website that they can share with a couple other people, and if somebody likes it, then we can. So you make a recommendation. What if we did this instead of this? Let's do this. What do you think of this idea? So I'm giving them ideas, different ways that they might be able to use it, different ways they might be able to use your product in their life that's real applicable to them. And then say, can I make a recommendation? So there's 3 things: make suggestions, make recommendations, and then also, which is similar. And then the 3rd thing is get permission to continue. So if I say to somebody, is it okay if I make a suggestion? Now he nods, yes. I just got permission to continue.
Now you're not barfing all over me. You're not railroading me.
Right. I'm not just like throwing up on him.
Right.
I'm saying, is it okay if I give you a suggestion? I have a recommendation for you. Would it be okay if I give it to you? So it's getting the permission to continue. That's a powerful thing. And then making the suggestion. So closing isn't always like you've got this and you want to sell it to them and they have to say yes to that. It's just taking
that's your agenda.
It's just taking them to the next
not
step.
There, not looking at them. That's focused on what you're interested in doing, making that sale. And in network marketing, this isn't about making a sale. There's no close. This is one thing I like to say. There's no close in network marketing, and this is what I mean by that. You're not closing the transaction and closing the deal. You're opening a relationship. You're starting a long-term relationship in network marketing. You're not closing anything. There's no close. It's continuing to give the information. And one thing you said too, talking about they share an objection or a challenge they see with something, asking them to elaborate on them. Because then you'll find as you ask them to elaborate on this challenge that they just shared with you, oftentimes it might be built on a misunderstanding or a presupposition that's not actually true. I was thinking that if I'd said yes to this, that meant I have to do this, and this. But if you ask them to elaborate, then you can kind of drill down on that challenge that they have in their mind is built on some false premises. It's not even accurate. Just asking them to elaborate really allows them to go deeper and communicate more.
So for example, let's say I'm looking at this painting that I really love, and it's a 4-foot by 5-foot painting. And I live in a motorhome. All right. And I love the painting. And you're trying to sell me this painting, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. So you hear a good, strong buying signal from me, right? And you go for the close. And I said, I just don't think it's going to work. And you're like, what do you mean it's not going to work? You love the painting. Yeah, I love the painting, but it's just, I don't think it's going to work. And you say, can you elaborate? Well, it's a 4-foot by 5-foot painting, and my wall is like 2 feet. I got room for a 2-foot painting.
Now I understand. Let me show you this one.
Right.
What do you think of this by the same artist? If you vibe with this, you might vibe with that. Check this one out. And then you can kind of show them something that they might be interested in, that might work for them, that might be more suited for their needs and their application in life. What else we want to talk about?
What network marketing was like 20, 30 years ago.
I love that. Today. This is a really interesting conversation because I have some thoughts on that. I want to hear. So when I started, I love this. I guess it's a story. I've been learning a lot from you about stories lately. You've been really talking about stories. So and metaphors. So high school dropout guy, started my real estate career. I flipped over 200 something houses in my 20s. That was my first.
That's a lot of houses.
Yeah, and honestly, that's my official story. Is I flipped over 200 houses in my 20s. I think I had bought and sold over 300 houses.
Wow.
But I know at one point we were just looking at it and we had done over 250 something, and we still kept going in that business for a few years. And we were doing about 3 or 4 a month. So I think I've done 300, but 300 to 200 doesn't matter for the still a lot or whatever.
Still impressive.
Yeah, still a good number. But either way, I bought and sold over 200 some houses in my 20s, and that started off of a late night television commercial. For those of you old enough to know this infomercial is Carlton Sheets, no down payment.
Sheets. I had the course.
Did you?
I did.
I started my whole entire career off of a late night home study course as a high school dropout kid.
Amazing.
When I started that career, though, I went full time in 3303. 3303 was my first day as a free man. I didn't have a boss. My last day at the casino was 3203, 3303. I am my own boss kind of a thing. 24 years old. But when I started that game, it was illegal to flip houses. It was common knowledge.
Which is unheard of because everyone knows there's lots of people that flip houses. You know, there's even Flip That House. Isn't there a show?
But not yet, not at the time. And
Not
that's the whole point.
Right.
So in 2003, when I started, it was common knowledge. It was illegal to flip houses. So I called myself, my first business card said Matthew Wells, real estate investor. I didn't say I flip houses, even though I wasn't investing in real estate. I wasn't using any of my own money to invest for the long term. I was either starting out wholesaling, then ultimately got into fix and flip, buying, fix them, selling, in and out, flipping. But I wouldn't call myself that.
Yeah.
And then several years into my career, I had a 2,600 square foot office. I had 2 full-time employees, 2 business partners. We had a machine going, billboards, yellow page ad, showing my age there too, you know. But in the stride of my career, all of a sudden A&E comes out with a television show, Flip That House, with a guy coming in a helicopter and flipping houses is cool. Now all of a sudden, when I started in that profession, it was illegal to flip houses. Now it was cool to flip houses. And I'm seeing the same thing in this profession.
Totally.
It was network marketing was one of those pyramid schemes
in the
in the fringe in the 90s.
In the 80s, actually, 90% of the population was 100% convinced that network marketing was a scam.
And that was common knowledge.
It was illegal. They were 100% sure. 90% was 100% sure that network marketing was illegal. Wasn't illegal, but that's what
water cooler conversation.
Right. That's what the water cooler conversation was. And then now in today's world, in fact, back then, if you didn't have a physical office suite location, you were considered a scam in any business. And so a lot of people would get fake office addresses and put them on their business cards because that would make you legitimate. If you had, back then people would put their addresses on their business cards. If you put your address on a business card, if you didn't have your address on the business card, you were considered a scam. If you did have your address on the business card and it was a home address, people could find out. Right. They'd drive by. You were considered a scam. I had somebody. I had my rental house on my business card at one point because you weren't legit unless you had an address on your card.
By your rental house, you don't mean a house you rented out.
Yeah,
it's a house you rented.
I rented. Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. And long before I had any rental houses, and so. One guy I remember drove by my house and saw that it was a cheap, rundown rental, and he was like not interested at all. It's a scam, right? I would think it was a scam. So, but today it's cool to have a home-based business. It's like, and people don't put their business card, their addresses on business cards anymore, and that's like normal. It's normal not to put your address on a business card, and it's exciting to have a home-based business. And today, 90% of the population is 100% convinced that network marketing is legal. Doesn't mean they'll all do it, but they're 100% convinced it's legal. 10% still think it's a scam.
You think 10% still do?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, there's old people out there that still, they saw Mike Wallace.
Oh, even young people that have heard their parents say it for years.
True. Yeah. Less than maybe 10%. Yeah, I feel like when I first started studying this profession, October 17, 2007, that's when I joined my first network marketing company and became a diligent student of this game and started to really fall in love with the model for many reasons I can elaborate on in a minute. But when I first started studying this game, it was what it felt like. It felt like it was still the fringes. It was still, we are the cool kids now. We are, gig economy is a big thing everybody's talking about these days, like Uber driving or whatever it might be. So we have that dynamic of the gig economy with the dynamic of residual, ongoing, leveraged income. Because not only do we have residual income, meaning as an affiliate marketer, I can go out and create a book of customers that creates residual income. So we have that component. Not only do we have that component, but we also have the component of leveraged residual income. Those are two dynamics that are both at play in this one business model.
Oh, and the other thing too is that there's been an explosive industry that has just emerged over the past 5 years that didn't even it existed, but nobody talked about it, and it wasn't very big, and that's the affiliate marketing.
Yes.
Affiliate marketing today is considered legit.
100%.
And it's a huge exploding industry.
Yep.
And network marketing is like the precursor to affiliate marketing. It's the same.
Yep.
It really is in many ways the same. It's just that people didn't call it that. I have people that I'll approach about my business, and if I tell them it's an affiliate program, they're in.
Ooh, yeah, what's up?
But if I tell them it's network marketing, I don't have anything to do with that. Same company, same model, same comp plan. But if I tell them it's affiliate marketing, they're in. And if I say it's network marketing, I don't do network marketing. So we'll sign you up for the affiliate part.
On that note, I have to say, I actually love, while so many people have moved away from the nomiker MLM, I lean into that.
Oh, I love it too, because it gives you more leverage and freedom than anything else out there. That for under a few $100 you can get started. There's nothing else out there that gives you the leverage, the massive leverage, in terms of growing an income without too much of your effort.
Right.
It still takes effort.
Right.
But at some point you can pull away.
I mean, even describing the same thing. So even describing the same opportunity, let's say, I like referring to it as MLM versus affiliate marketing because I want to challenge your status quo thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my personality, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That is your personality.
You think you know what a pyramid scheme is?
Right.
Sweetheart, do you know what corporate America looks like? You know that guy at the top, only the guy at the top makes the money? And worse than that, in that pyramid scheme of corporate America, the guy, only one at the top makes that money. And more than that, he's not incentivized to reach down to the earlier, and bring them up.
If you want his level of, or her level of income, the only way to get there is for her to leave.
That's right.
Or him to leave.
That's right. It's a competitive.
And in network marketing, you can say, I want to make the money that top guy makes or that those top people make. And you build an organization, a team that creates revenue consistent with what they're making, and you make the same.
We're perfect examples. We're in the same company. I'm right now, as we're recording this in the year, what are we in, 2023. You're a star 8 Eagle, the top pin rank in our compensation plan. I'm a star 3 as we record this today. You are not challenged by my intention to grow into a star 8.
I want you to be a star 8.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? You're not holding anything back. You're literally telling, you've climbed that mountain that I want to climb. You're standing at the top of that mountain and you say, hey, Shorty, this is how I climbed. This is how I did it. This is what to look out for.
And you can't use the excuse that you're short.
No, you're an excuse stealer,
you
Jordan.
Can't use the excuse that you're bald. I'm bald and short. There's no way I'm going to get this out.
I can't make it. People like me don't make it at the top of this brand. Damn it, Jordan. But that's such a different dynamic. This is why I love challenging the status quo, is because is this a pyramid scheme? Yes, it is. That's what one of my. I'm real big on that.
We don't hear that too much anymore.
I know. I'm disappointed by it. I want to challenge it.
Say, is it a pyramid scheme anymore? And you know what's interesting?
That's on the
in the UK, when they say scheme,
it's just a plan.
It just means a plan.
That's it.
In the UK, they call it a scheme, and we get all defensive. But it's not. To them, a scheme is Richard Branson has schemes.
Yep.
He's a multi-billionaire, and he's got lots of successful businesses and a lot that have failed. But he calls them schemes because that's just what that's how they call it.
Yeah. It's the whole idea of pyramid scheme is just a slang term. Now, if you wanted to say Ponzi scheme, now we're talking about something specific. Charles Ponzi was playing a money game with stamps. Okay, that's a specific thing. Bernie Madoff did a Ponzi scheme. Mm-hmm. That was a specific money game that they played, right? Pyramid scheme is not a real thing.
No.
There's no pyramid scheme. It is just a generic term that we could use to describe corporate America, the United States government.
Social Security.
Social Security.
That's about as big of a pyramid scheme as you could get.
I hadn't seen one bigger yet, huh?
Yeah.
Is there one bigger? I mean, that's a pretty big one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. And it's
one that ultimately could collapse on itself if they don't continue to print money.
If they didn't force cooperation, it would collapse.
The only reason they keep raising the retirement age and printing more and more money is to fund the Social Security because it's collapsing.
It's more than a pyramid scheme. It's an actual Ponzi scheme at this point. It didn't start off that way.
Right.
But it has become a Ponzi scheme.
Because you have fewer and fewer and fewer people. You got all these gig workers that don't contribute into the Social Security system. You've got fewer and fewer and fewer people funding the retirement of all these baby boomers that are now getting to retirement age. And that was a big pig in the python, right? There was that the baby boomers are a pig in the python. They keep moving through the python, and now they're at the point where they're needing to collect their money. and there's more of them than there are people to fund the program, which means they got to figure out where to get the money to fund the program. And the bigger it gets, the worse it gets.
Pop up. And not to mention, they robbed from it for other, the government robbed from it. But if they didn't force, at the end of the day, here's the qualifier for why that is a Ponzi scheme. If they did not force people to contribute today, it would not sustain itself. And that is a qualifiable, measurable metric that qualifies it as a pyramid scheme. It's not versus network marketing, which all the money that's made in a legitimate network marketing opportunity and a legitimate MLM is a commission of a product or service brought to market. It's commissions. That's it. So you're out of cigar.
Yeah, that's my third one today. I think I probably need a little break.
All right, let's see what else. Any other thing I want to touch on before we move on to the rest of the day here? How the game has changed. Oh, one more thing I want us to touch on. I want to get your thoughts on. I've got some thoughts on this, but I want you have a much broader perspective and experience in this game. So there's one of the criticisms of our profession, network marketing, is that most people don't make money. And you'll even see on a particular company, they put out their disclosure statement, and so many of the participants don't make money. Why is that? What are your thoughts on that?
The first thing that comes to mind is most people don't do anything, because the only people that make money are the people that actually create something. You've got to bring some revenue to the company. And if you don't bring revenue to the company, you're not going to make money. But let's take it to another level. Let's talk about other professions where you get paid for what you create, right? You get paid for what you do. Real estate. You know, if you talk to a successful real estate broker that has a bunch of agents that are working for them, what does it take to become an agent? Well, you have to pay $2,000 to $3,000 to get your license, and then you got to go through all the schooling, and then you have to pass your test. And even in that scenario, 2/3 of all realtors never sell a single home. So just by the nature of saying nobody may, I mean, if I said here's a profession where 2/3 of the people pay $2,000 to $3,000 to get licensed, and then they never sell a home, 2/3 of the people never make a penny, does that make it a scam? Same in the insurance business. Most insurance agents that get licensed never sell a single policy. And so that doesn't make it a scam. It just is it's a commission structure that requires pay for performance. And then in network marketing, you get a few customers and then you build a team. And that team, then you get an override on everything they do. And the truth is,
build a team who creates a few customers.
The truth is, most people quit everything. Most people quit everything they do. And so if you get involved, just like I did for so many years, if you get involved in an opportunity and you work it for a few months, which is not enough time, because you haven't learned your lessons, you haven't learned what you need to do to succeed. From a mindset standpoint, you can't blame the company or the compensation plan or the product. It's that you did not step into the opportunity at a level that is necessary to create good results. I would say that it's not, in network marketing, we say nobody makes money. First of all, that's not true. There's $35 billion a year in commissions, I believe, that are paid out. I think it's $35 billion a year.
The DSA has the number. It's something
paid out.
It's been a while.
So that proves right there that
you
people make money. You can't say people nobody makes
ignorant
money.
Statement. You're showing your ignorance.
And the truth is, most people don't make money. And just like in real estate, most people don't make money. Insurance, most people don't make money. You have to decide: are you going to be one of the ones that is going to make money?
I think on that conversation of why most people don't make money, one is the fact that there is no boss. There's no immediate consequence for not showing up. You're not going to get fired. You can pay your fee. Most companies, the fee is some silly nominal fee to say, I am an affiliate, or I am a distributor, or I am in business. But then, of course, if you look at your activities and what you've done, you're not in business, but you're saying that you're in business. And nobody's going to fire you. The CEO is not going to kick you out for not showing up. That's a booby trap, right? Here's one of the things I like to say about our profession as a whole. One of the most beautiful things, the biggest criticism of our profession is a result of one of the most beautiful things about our profession. And that is the fact that there is no gatekeeper. There is no one here saying you are good enough, you're not good enough, you must jump through these hoops. No, any dork with their $14 can pay the fee, jump into the marketplace and say, I am an affiliate, sign here, and go sell the business, perpetuate the business, offer the business as a lottery ticket. Something for nothing. So people get in with irrealistic expectations, They expect something for nothing, so they get in, they do nothing, they get nothing, and they, well, that's not what I expected.
Yeah.
Shit, I expected to do nothing and get something. No, well, you did nothing, you got nothing. That's how it's a meritocracy, as the football player talked about football. Football is a meritocracy. This is a meritocracy. There are professionals and there are amateurs in this game, and everybody's paid accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, look at, let's say you're in high school and you say you want to become a professional football player. You know, what percent of people that want to be a professional football player or baseball player actually become pro? And then once you become pro, what percent of them actually make millions?
Right.
Very, 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 very tiny percent. In Hollywood, there's less than in all of entertainment, there's less than 2,000 people that make over $1 million a year in the entertainment business, like movies, right? The producers and the executive producers and the directors and the actors and the music, all that. If you look at the entire profession, there's a lot of people that are successful in it. I mean, they get a check, but in terms of the people that make millions, it's a very, very small community. And that doesn't make it a scam, right? The other thing I want to say is that things that cost very little to things that you're invested in at a very low amount, you have less of a commitment.
Yeah,
so for example, if you've taken your life savings of, say, $50,000 or $100,000, your life savings, and put it into a business and started that business, and if you're failing, you're going to work really hard. You're going to be working 10 to 14 hours a day, and because you're trying to save that investment and turn it into something, versus if you put $14 in or a couple $100, it's easy to go, you know what, this is not for me, or start blaming people.
You put all that money in, you're not going to quit on a bad day.
No, it's like, so when people are, an opportunity where it costs, say, $35,000 to get involved in, to pay a franchise fee, and then, you got to get a lease, and you got to hire employees, and you have to pay an electric bill, and you got to have legal attorneys, and you got to have all your team in place, your back office team, all of that, your customer support. If you've got to do that and you've got to invest in that, you've got so much invested that you're not going to do it half-ass. You're going to put everything you have into it. And you're going to look for ways to solve the problems, because if you don't, you're going to lose all that. Whereas in network marketing, at the top end, it costs you $1,000 to get involved. It's really easy to write off $1,000 or $500. It's super easy to write that off and just say, this was not for me, or this didn't work for me, rather than going in and solving the problem. So network marketing is not easier, and it's not more difficult. It requires the same level of commitment to succeed. But more people try it. Just try it. Trying doesn't really work too well. And so the thing that I love about it, though, is that unlike a traditional business, that the more successful you become, the more responsibility you have. In network marketing, the truth is, as you become more successful and more people really don't even know who you are, but they're out building the business for them, you get a cut of what they do. Rather than having it take away your freedom, it actually gives you more freedom. The larger your business in traditional business, the less freedom you have. The larger your business in network marketing, the more freedom you have. You cannot travel the world. It's very difficult, I should say, to travel the world on a traditional business when you have 100 employees. You can do it as long as you trust them when you leave. You have somebody to run it. But in network marketing, you can build the business anywhere in the world. Using your technology today. And the bigger you get, the more freedom you have, and that's why I love this model so much. And it solves so many problems.
If you built it right, meaning you're not being a helicopter parent, you're not making your organizational build about you and your personality, creating dependence. You know what I mean? If you're creating, because one of the things I'd like to talk about is nobody wants to join your business. And if you're positioning yourself as this amazing person in society, you're creating a bunch of followers that are joining your business because you're amazing. Booby trap. So nobody. I did not join your business. I started my own business. I happen to be in your organization. You happen to get blessed by my build, which is fantastic because you have a vested interest in watching me grow, helping me grow. I'm going to pay you for your consultation and your coaching. That's amazing, right? But yet at the same time, I'm building my business for my reasons. I don't care if you go off to the islands for 17 years. I don't want you to, because I want your leadership and I like your counsel every week, and you do these calls for us every week. That's so amazing that you continue to do this 17, 18 years into the game. I mean, you're at the point you could walk away if you wanted to. You know what I mean? And you've got enough leaders who are doing their thing for their reasons that your income would not only continue to stay, it would continue to grow with or without you. You're cooked. You're done. Walk away, fine. I'm going to do my thing for my reasons. And as long as I have that same philosophy and intention in mind when I'm showing people this, focusing on creating customers myself, that's my lead. Oh, I want to touch on that too, man.
Yeah.
So historically in this profession, people have talked about, this is a long conversation, do you lead with the business or do you lead with the opportunity? Or do you lead with the opportunity or do you lead with the products? Now, for the longest time, multi-level marketing itself was sexy enough and unique enough to grab attention and buy-in and intrigue and engagement. Today, I feel like network marketing alone, the multi-level marketing component of what we have, is not unique enough. There's a million of them out there. I know that's not actually a number. There's only so many of them out there, but there's no shortage of network marketing opportunities.
Right.
I feel like today it is more important to have an actual product service, a marketable thing that you bring to market, and you lead with that, start with that, focus on that, and then along the way, find those who, let me tell this story. Legal Shield was called Prepaid Legal. I was a customer of Legal Shields from a real estate conference, I think in 2001. Somebody had a booth. I signed up with Legal Shield at a booth there. I was paying, I think, $14 a month for 10 years. Later, I got involved in this profession. Way later, I got involved in this profession, network marketing. Eric Worre had Brian Carruthers on his show. I found out Brian Carruthers was with a company called Prepaid Legal. I was like, son of a bitch. Prepaid Legal? That's a network marketing? I didn't know that. Did not know.
Yeah.
I was a paying customer for over a decade. Nobody even offered me the conversation. Now, if whoever I'd signed up with at that booth, which I don't know who they are, I don't know their name, I don't know nothing about them, if he would have called me up a year in, 2 years in, and 3 years in and said, hey, man, I see you've been on subscription on this customer. You've been a paying customer of mine for 2-3 years. I just want you to know, for a nominal fee, you can get paid to share this. I had been sending customers to Prepaid Legal for years and did not know that I could have gotten paid for those customers.
Yeah.
So the point that I'm getting at with that is, A, lead with the product or service, but I would be doing a disservice to them if I did not acknowledge the fact and let them know, hey, by the way, there is an opportunity for you to pay a nominal fee, position yourself to get paid for sharing this if you think that's interesting to you. But leading with the product versus leading with the opportunity, in 2023, what are your thoughts on that? What do you do? I already know you like to lead with the products, but was there a time?
I think in today's world, there are more and more people that are convinced, that are professionals in our profession. There are more and more people that are convinced that, especially with the regulatory environment, that we need to lead with the product.
Okay.
More companies are doing that.
Yeah.
Fewer and fewer companies are leading with the opportunity.
So not even just from a market interest standpoint of what's unique, but actually from a regulatory standpoint.
Regulatory as well.
Okay.
It's important to let people know that there's a way to make money with your company, and I think everyone should know that at least. But you don't need to go through the compensation with people that are not interested in making money. And there are a lot of businesses out there. Everybody today. I shouldn't say everyone knows there's an opportunity. You need to let them know that. But I think that first people need to love what the service is. They need to love the services, be willing to use the services, and be willing to share the services and the products with other people first. And then to let them know, if you want to make money, if you're going to share this with people anyway because you love it, let's talk about how you can plug yourself into the equation. That's how I usually say it. If you like it so much that you want to tell other people about it, then let's talk about how we could insert you into the equation so you can get a benefit to that.
Yeah.
And then if they say yes, then that gives, again, now there's permission to go to the next step, which would be to share information about the compensation plan and how the opportunity works.
Now you're talking to somebody who's interested. Kiss the girls leaning forward.
Kiss the girls that lean in.
Yep.
Or the guys.
Right.
Or the girls or the guys.
Yeah, whatever you're interested in.
I'm not kissing the guys, but
whatever you're into. Kiss the ones leaning forward.
Yeah. If you're into it.
Yeah. If you're into kissing. All right, so any other closing thoughts or anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up here for the Beach Money Nation?
No, I just think I think it's something that I think everybody should have a side gig right now, especially with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much volatility in our economic system today, just in general. And I think it's important to have something on the side that if shit hits the fan, you've got options.
Yeah.
So find something that's a good fit for you and take some time to learn it in part-time, a few hours a week.
Without jeopardizing what you're doing.
Without jeopardizing what you do. If you got something you love that's paying your bills and it's working for you, keep doing that. If you're not getting the leverage or the royalty income, the residual income, and you'd like to have that component, then align yourself with something that gives you that component.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get it from what you've got, And you ask yourself, like, how long have you been doing what you've been doing? How long have you been doing it? Where are you at in terms of your life plan?
What is ultimate winning like? Whatever you're doing, if it's, I'm not picking on jobs by any stretch of the imagination, but let's say if you're doing a linear trading time for money kind of a thing, what does winning look like ultimately in that game? And is that what you really want? Like, what does winning look like? Because in this game, winning looks like freedom, looks like beach money, looks like the ability to roam around the world and move around. So if you're going to play a game to win, evaluate the game that you're playing honestly and decide if that's the game that you want to play for the balance of your best working years.
Yeah. And I think it's horrible if you're going to a job you don't like and spending 8-9 hours a day working at a job that you don't like and that you're not happy with the level of income and doing that week in, week out. I think that's horrible to do that. Nothing wrong with the job if it's paying your bills, but why don't you find something that you love?
In addition,
why don't you find something that will allow you to grow both personally and professionally?
Yeah.
And that creates a result that you really want in your life. Like, what if you could compress time frames? What if you could do in 1 year what it would normally take you 5 years to do? Or what if you could do in a week what it would normally take you a month to do? And the way you do that is through leverage. It's like I've heard it said that, if it requires your hands to make money, in other words, you have to have your hands in it to make money, then you'll never have freedom. But many hands make easy work.
Yeah, I like that. Many hands make easy work.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think that's from the Bible, actually.
Might be. It sounded like it was familiar, but it was really relevant in that.
Somebody
thought.
Tell us. Put it in the comments.
Yeah, where's that from? Is that in the Bible? All right, so from French Quarter at Cigar Factory, this is Shorty and Jordan for the Beach Money Nation. If you're interested in taking a look at specifically what we do, there'll be a link below to some information on what we do. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And until next time, see you on the beach.
See you on the beach.